Hello, class. So today for poetry, I'm going to be teaching a lesson on something that I think will help all of you. You've all been writing some wonderful poems. I appreciate all the poems you've shared with me so far. You've done a good job using the poetry tools. You've done well practicing the new poetry forms that I've introduced to you. However, there's a main struggle that I see going on with a lot of your poetry. Um, Many times I've discussed with some of you, either one on one or in other videos, you want to make sure that your poem does not look like a story. Okay. If you write out your poem and type out your poem like a story, it's going to read like a story instead of a poem. When you write a poem, you want each word, each line, each thought to really stand out. Okay. And so today I'm going to show you an example of what I mean and how I'm going to take a poem from a looking like a story and then we're going to construct it to look like a poem, okay? We're going to use we've already built our poem using our poetry tools and our creative words, but now we need to structure it so it looks like a poem, okay? So here I have a poem called The Gnu. By the way, a gnu is another term for the animal, the wildebeest. And this gnu is spelled G-N-U. The G is silent. I wrote this poem a little while ago, and it has some issues. What issues does it have? It is written like a story. Okay? I'm going to read it to you, and then we're going to look at each line and determine in which way we can make it look more like a poem and read like a poem. So here we go. The gnu was ugly. It was a stuffed animal, but unlike a bunny or bear. It was a tawny brown gnu with a black beard and mane, two puffy horns, and a thin grin made out of black string with a ragtag tail of yarn. I asked my mom who gave me the ugly gnu, and she said, "Your father and I thought you might like it. We picked it out for you." The gnu was beautiful. It was a stuffed animal, but unlike a bunny or bear. So it reads pretty well, right? As like a story, but it's not a story, it's a poem. And what I was trying to get across is a moment in time that was very significant for me. Okay? So here we go. We're going to look at each line and determine how we can make line breaks. Okay? This is essentially what we're learning about. You're learning about taking a poem and making appropriate line breaks. So your words and your lines really stand out to the reader. Okay? Here we go. So the first line I have is the gnu is ugly and a period. And then it was a stuffed animal, but unlike a bunny or a bear. That's a lot of thoughts there. So if I were you, and right now I am going to pretend to be you, I'm going to be the poet, and I'm going to decide that the gnu was ugly is a very powerful thought to have for the first line. Okay, so I've made that the first line. The next thought we have, it was a stuffed animal, but unlike a bunny or bear. Well, I'm going to think, the fact that it's a stuffed animal is significant. So I'm going to have the gnu was ugly. It was a stuffed animal, be the third line. And then the second line. And then the third line comes out as, but unlike a bunny or bear. Okay, so we're trying to describe the fact that it's kind of like a stuffed animal, but it's not like a little stuffed bunny or little stuffed bear. This gnu was ugly, right? Okay, so now the next thought that we have here, it was a tawny brown gnu with a black beard and mane, two puffy horns, and a thin grin made out of black string with a ragtag tail of yarn. Okay, so I'm really out of breath, so that means that's going to be a lot of lines here. It was a tawny brown gnu with a black beard and mane. You know what? I think I'll just stick with it was a tawny brown gnu as one line. Okay. Then we have with a black beard and mane. I think I'll have that for another line. Two puffy horns and a thin grin made out of black string with a ragtag tail. Let me see. Two puffy horns and a thin grin. I'll leave that one line. Made out of black string. That's a significant thing because it's trying to describe the grin on the stuffed animal's face. It's made out of black string. So, and then here we have with a ragtag tail of yarn. And I think that's a good line as well. I asked my mom who gave me the ugly gnu, and she said your father and I thought you might like it. That's a very long line as well, very story-ish, right, if you will. So I asked my mom who gave me the ugly gnu, and she said, I asked my mom who gave me the ugly gnu. I think I'll have, I asked my mom. because here I am introducing a person into the poem, and I want that to be a focus there. So I'll have that be one line. I asked my mom, who gave me the ugly new. I think that's another good line. And she said, your father and I thought you might like it. Ooh, I think so. This is a significant, powerful part in the poem. I asked my mom, so remember, I'm saying this new is ugly, right? I asked my mom, who gave me the ugly new, and she said, your father and I. So I'm actually going to split the line right there, your father and I. So that thought right there, boom. I just asked someone, who gave me this ugly thing? And that person replied, well, we did. That's a very powerful part in the poem. And she said, your father and I. So I'll have that one line be one line. Thought you might like it. Okay, so we'll leave that as one line in two. We picked it out for you. So they purchased it and they picked it out specifically for me. So I'll leave that one line as well. The new was beautiful. Okay. See the contrast there from the beginning of the poem, the new was ugly, to now the new was beautiful. Now that the person, which was me, realized that this gift was from my parents, it had a whole new meaning to it. And so now I find it to be beautiful. It was a stuffed animal, unlike a bunny or bear. Sound familiar? Just like the beginning, right? So let's have the same types of lines at the end. It was a stuffed animal, right? Just like the beginning, but unlike a bunny or bear. All right. So let's look at this poem now. This poem now has line breaks that make it not only look like a poem, but read like a poem. Because what it's doing is it's making the reader look at each line and understand the significance of each line as they read it. The new was ugly. It was a stuffed animal, but unlike a bunny or bear. It was a tawny brown new with a black beard and mane, two puffy horns and a thin grin, made out of black string, with a ragtag tail of yarn. I asked my mom, who gave me the ugly new? And she said, your father and I thought you might like it. We picked it out for you. The new was beautiful. It was a stuffed animal, but unlike a bunny or bear. I hope you see what I mean. When you can break up a poem to make it not look like a story and make it look like a poem, it not only just looks like a poem, it also reads like a poem, and it makes sure that your reader really looks at the significant parts of each poem individually. Okay. So, another lesson that I might have for you later on is how to make stanzas. We can certainly turn this poem into a poem that has stanzas, but for now, I just want you to focus on now that when you write your poems and get your assignments, make sure you write your poem using line breaks. Think about how you can break each line into important parts. Okay? All right. Well, I hope you liked this lesson. And that was my first time using Screencastify, so I hope I did an okay job. Make a great day, everyone.